For Jim Zahns, thank you. We're gonna miss him a little bit. He was very good on the whole committee, to miss him on the whole board, so. Approval of the minutes. We have a
I'll move approval.
second. Right. So Monica first and Spencer second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Any public comments? All right, we're gonna move right along here. Move into the extension staff reports. That all with Kristen?
Yes, thank you. Well, welcome everyone. Good to see some familiar faces, and Spencer, welcome. Nice to meet you. So I'm Kristen Bruder. I'm the area director for Extension. I cover Dunn County as well as Chippewa and Eau Claire. And I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you to Extension. I know some of you do know Monica, and I know you've been part of our committee, but I thought it would probably be a good idea to do an overview. And I was not here 2 years ago, so I've been in this role in this area for just under 2 years, and so thought it would be a good idea to include this for everyone. So I'm going to do an overview and give you a little bit of background. About Extension. I want to introduce you to our local team, and many of them are here in person, and we do have some online as well. So we'll do some introductions in a little bit with them. And I also want to talk a little bit about our partnership and how we look, what we look like, who we are, and how we interface with you in the county. Not going to dig into programming today. That would be overwhelming, and we'd be here for a while. So I just wanted to break it up. I thought an overview of Extension and a little bit about our partnership would be a great way to start, and then you can mull that over for the next month, and then perhaps come back with questions, or reach out to me anytime during the month as well. I'd love to meet with you as well. So welcome and congrats. Glad to have you all with us and supporting us in Extension. So there's a lot to know about Extension, as some of you are aware, that we are a little bit complicated. It's overwhelming, I think, at times. Sometimes I don't even know what it looks like, but we certainly are a big entity, and our relationship with the county is sometimes confusing. So I'm going to try to break this down as much as I can through the next, hopefully, 10 minutes or so. But don't be afraid to ask questions along the way. And we have 2 years and hopefully more of time together. So as we work through, work together and work with our constituents in the county. So, oh yeah, I forget. I'm in charge of this. All right, so a little bit about us, our mission. Our mission is, we are the Wisconsin idea. We like to believe we are. We are the Wisconsin idea. We bring the university resources to the boundaries of the state, and that's what we've done. Our mission is to embody that and to partner and develop and connect the research, educational resources of UW-Madison with residents and communities to address local, statewide, and national issues. So that's what we do, and that hasn't changed for 100 years. So we've been over 100 years Extension. We are in the state statute under Section 59, if you'd like to look that up. And that covers counties, and it also references our relationship with the counties. That looks a little bit different than what it did 100 plus years ago, as does county government. So we've changed a little bit, and so has counties. How we do it might look a little different, but overall our mission has stayed the same. And so, and that remains constant. So when you look at, we are a statewide network, so Extension is statewide. We are in all counties, and I'll get to that in a little bit. And we respond to emerging issues in the counties along and around the state. And we work with our communities to do that. So we work with partners, we work with nonprofits, we work with anybody that is engaged with those issues. And we bring a lot of value besides what you invest within this local Dunn County community. Your investment leverages a lot of other resources throughout the state that we'll talk about in a bit. So our work. So how do we deploy the Wisconsin idea, and how do we do it in partnership with you? So geographically, we have 22 areas. We are in Area 6, in case you're interested. And it's led by area extension directors. My role, I'm real similar to what you might refer to as a department head in the county. That's kind of my parallel with the counties. And area directors oversee over 225 educators around the state. So we have over 225 educators deployed throughout the state of Wisconsin. So within our partnership, when we're in this, our partnership, we look at your strategic priorities, we look at the needs of the counties, and we bring those resources locally to you as we do our work. Programmatically, we have 2 program areas. We have agriculture, natural resources, and community development. I'll get into some of the institutes next time under that, next month. But those are things like crops, dairy, livestock, and farm management, land, forestry, and water resources, local government, education, and business assistance. And then we have programs such as the Wisconsin Geological and Natural History Survey, the Wisconsin Master Naturalists, and others under that program area. The second program area that we have in Wisconsin Extension is the Youth, Family, and Health. And those cover things like youth development, parenting, aging and finance, physical and mental health, and programs such as 4-H, probably familiar with, Strong Bodies, FoodWise, Rent Smart, and Teen Court. So those are some of those programs that we work with in the way that we're structured. So Extension's reach, oops. All of a sudden it stopped working. Extension's reach, this is throughout the state in 2023. We've reached, and I'm not going to go through all these, but so we have reached over 370,000 participants in direct education alone, 22,000 4-H youth. I think it's pretty impressive. 7,000 4-H volunteers. And we work with businesses, we have volunteers. And so we have a broad reach throughout the state with Extension. But locally, I wanted to show you our local numbers from last year, which is not moving forward again. I don't know why. They turned it off inadvertently? No. Oh, okay. So our local reach, and this was also in 2023. I don't feel like this encompasses all. I think we're missing some 4-H numbers in here. So working with our local or our statewide person, but pretty impressive regardless. We've had 5,210 educational contacts in 2023 that were reported. And we are working, and I'll be sharing with you our report, and we're working on making sure that we are reporting all of our numbers so that we can share with you how many contacts that we actually serve. And broke it down a little bit for you. You can see how many youth contacts we might have, businesses, nonprofits, schools, coalitions, industries, and then of course our residents, and reaching out directly to our constituents. And so that's what we look like locally in 2023. So how does Extension come to life here in Dunn County? What does that look like? So I'd like to just go over a couple of areas under here, and part of that is our, whoops, oh, now it's working, is our Dunn County staff. And so we have, these are all of the staff members that serve Dunn County specific. And although our staff are UW-Madison employees, we live in and near the counties that we serve. And so we're not coming from Madison to your area trying to and not understanding the geographical nature or the people in the counties, because every one of these people that you see on the screen either live in Dunn County or in the surrounding counties. And so they serve in the community that they live or near them. They're out there delivering education to people where they live and work, whether that be on the farm, whether that be in schools, whether that be in community centers. That could be virtually, that could be face to face, but they are out there in the community connecting with our constituents. They also engage with civic groups and county boards. They write newspaper columns. They are on TV and participate on the radio. They facilitate meetings and they build coalitions as well as attend coalitions that solve complex problems right here in Dunn County. They bring the research, the knowledge, and the resources of Wisconsin to Dunn County. So that's what our educators do. We're lucky enough in Dunn County that you support a support staff and also a couple of supports within our 4-H program. And that is instrumental to assisting our educators as they are delivering those programs locally. And we're really fortunate to have Melissa's background as well in some programming, and we've changed her title to outreach support associate. Thank you. So that Melissa can go out into the community and bring resources into the community as well to help support our educators. And so we're really excited about that. So what I'd like to do, if we could, just real briefly, is just go around and introduce our staff. So Melissa Burke. Hello. In the back, we have Sandy Tarter. She's our FoodWise coordinator. Oh, did you want to do that? That would be great, actually. Then that way you could just kind of go around. Thank you. There you go.
Hello, everybody. Sandy Tarter, FoodWise coordinator. Been here for about 15 and a half years in this role with FoodWise.
Zach Rosemerick, 4-H educator.
Jerry Clark, I'm the Crops and Soils educator, primarily in the Agriculture Institute. Been with Dunn County specifically for a little over a year, but in Chippewa and Eau Claire counties for almost 26.
Hi, everybody. I'm Luisa Gerasimo. I'm the Human Development and Relationships Educator, particularly focused on families in Dunn County. And this is my second year in this position, but I've been with Dunn County Extension since 2018. I used to have the 4-H and Positive Youth Development role. Should I bring it back up there? Or?
Sure. And then we've got a couple online. So I wanted to introduce Hillary is on top there. Hillary, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Hillary. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I was having microphone issues. I'm Hillary Roth. I'm a FoodWise educator. I've been with Extension for about a year and a half.
Hi, I'm Margaret Murphy. I'm a horticulture educator. I'm also regional, so I serve Dunn County as well as Chippewa and Eau Claire. And I've been with UW Extension since 2019.
Excellent. So thank you. And we have who are not present, and we don't have their pictures up because they're very new. Garrett Zastapil is our new community development educator, and he is day 2 on the job. So Garrett was at a BEAD meeting this morning, so Dan may have seen Garrett there this morning. He is jumping right in. And then Ann Lee is our 4-H, and she's our 4-H support, and she is 0.4, so she works about 2 days a week supporting our 4-H program. And currently we have one vacancy, and that is our dairy educator. And so we're actively looking at the moment with that position on making sure that that position is reaching the needs of the community. So I'm currently speaking with some producers and ag industry, as well as Chris Corpola and our administrators, because that in Dunn or in Chippewa and Eau Claire, because that does cover all 3 counties as well. You will hear a lot more from these educators next month as they will dive a little bit. They're going to give you a broad overview of their programming next month, along with their institute and what that looks like. Didn't want to blend those 2 together because it's overwhelming. So we're going to dive into programming, and that'll be the nuts and bolts of our relationship moving forward with this committee. As I talk a little bit about what your role is in a moment, but it'll be that constant interaction with our educators. In your packet on the right-hand side, there is just a little bit of reading for you in terms of some of the programs that we wanted to highlight, some of the 4-H numbers that you might want to take a look at. Master Gardener, we got the parenting. So just some of the programming that we're doing. We wanted to introduce that to you a little bit in your packet for some light reading. And you'll hear obviously more about that as we move forward together over the next couple of years. So thank you. So let's talk about our county partnership a little bit. So we are a partner, and we partner together, and we work together to make sure that the needs are met in Dunn County, and that our constituents and businesses, organizations receive the resources that we can bring forward. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit of what the org chart looks like in terms of a county relationship. And I was not going to share with you the org chart of extension because you can't even read it. It's ridiculous. So we simplified it a little bit for you just on the geographic side of things. And so, what extension does is it works with you to identify those local needs and address those local needs, work with local partners, look at trends throughout the state and the nation, and bring real specialized resources from our educators and our program and institutes to the county. You just met the staff, and so this is what the org chart looks like a little bit. So staff, so staff directly report to the area director, which is me. And so I'm working with the budget. I'm working with all of you. We're kind of that. We have that relationship as you would with the department head. And so I'll be here monthly to kind of give an extension report, an overview or an overall extension report. And then, of course, we'll have our educators reporting as well. But I work with the county budget and the county space. There's 2 assistant deans. So my supervisor is Jason Hausler. We're very lucky to have him right here in Dunn County. He lives in Menominee. So, but he covers the northern part of the state. And so he covers, I don't know how many counties that is, but he oversees the extension directors. And then, of course, we have Carl Martin, who is our dean and director. And I did include a message from him in your welcome email. So just you have a flavor of who our dean, Carl Martin, is. And then just some of our centers and state specialists will interact with the county. And that's that value added that I mentioned, that we give to the county, or that we interface with the county at no additional cost. But that's that, and they just, as we need them, whether the educators might pull them in, whether I pull them in, whether you pull them in or constituents pull them in, we bring in those resources when we need to in the community. Okay, so how do we do our work? How do educators do our work? Like I mentioned, they live in the communities that they serve, and they are addressing local issues. How do they address them? How do they know what local issues are? Well, one, they're living here, so they know. They are living within the communities, so they have needs specific to their families or their lives. But they try to understand the context and the needs, and they do that by assessing, by talking, having crucial conversations or good conversations with stakeholders within their content area. They prioritize and develop plans of work. So all of our educators have a plan of work that they work with their program manager within the institute to develop that is specific to the county, to Dunn County. And it also has a relation with the state. And so they're doing a lot of the priorities of their county typically will be priorities of the state. There's sometimes where priorities of counties creep in where it's not necessarily a priority of the state. An example would be the HSHS closure. That was something that happened very specific to this area. And we brought in a number of resources to assist with that. And so the plans of work will sway, and they're kind of, we call them a living document, because as needs bubble up or as trends happen, we respond to those. They design and deliver educational programs based on the needs that they find and the partnerships that they develop. They measure their impact and refine their work, and then they share that out. And I'll talk with you a little bit about how they share that out here in Dunn County. We'll be giving a report every month, and then of course an annual report that we included in your packet. So a little bit of the sausage making. So what does it look like? How do we work together for mutual success? So this is kind of where I'll talk a little bit about the role and the partnership that we have with you and the role of the committee, and how you can work to support extension, the success of our educators right here in Dunn County, and make sure that your constituents are getting what they need, and bring back those needs to us. So in your packet, there is something called a partnership document. Just a couple pages long, but it's not light reading. Good bedtime material. It's something that I'd like for you to take a look at. This really does document well what our partnership looks like. It is meant to be across the state, and so some of this may not reflect Dunn County. For instance, we don't have county-based staff in the office, so anything that relates to county-based staff would not relate to Dunn County. But most everything else in this document does relate here to Dunn County. This is being revised as we speak. In fact, your county manager will be taking a look at it as well as other supervisors. If this is something that you read through and you have questions or you have suggestions based on your knowledge of extension, please let us know. We're looking to revise this document and bring it up to date. As you can see, this was developed in 2021. So it's been a few years and there's been a few changes since then. But in that document, there's a few things that I'll just highlight in terms of the role. We do have a county budget that we oversee, and and we bring that to you just like any process of any other department. And so we have in this document, it lays out that the county will provide county space. It will provide computers and IT support for our educators, as well as other areas of support to make sure that our educators can do the job well, including travel budgets and operation budgets. How are our educators funded? We have a co-funded, and we'll get way into this in the next couple of months because we're going to be going through the budget process. But what we call a co-funded, we have co-funded educator positions. And what that means is that the state and the county go into a contract, which is also in your packet. This is this year's contract. You'll see that we go into a contract where there are pieces that extension brings forward and pieces that the county brings forward. But with our co-funded positions, you're not paying for the entire educator position. You co-fund that position with the state, and we have what we call a flat fee. So all counties are paying the same for the educators throughout the state. The flat fee for 2025 budget is around 20 or 47,000, I believe, and that includes the fringe, that includes the salaries of the educators. So as you know, there's going to be a 2% increase July 1 for all state employees. That does not come back to the county. That is part of your flat fee is stays regardless of any promotions within extension, within our educators, a lot, and also with any type of salary augmentation or increase by the state. And so once that flat fee is set, that's not something that we come back for and ask for more money, depending upon what's happening with that individual educator. And so that would align with the 136 contract, and you'll see that in the contract for 2024. So we'll go into that a little bit more during budget time. You do have a few positions that are fully county funded, which means that you do pay 100% for those, and those are reflected in the contract as well as our intern positions and our support positions. And then finally, what we ask for you, so you'll have that oversight of our budget. You approve our budget moving forward. We talk to you about our budget, what our needs are. And then we also look to this committee for our eyes and ears in the community. How can you help us? How can you help us better serve the people of Dunn County? And so those are through relationships that you build with your constituents. Those are through policies that you make. Those are through relationships that you build with our educators. And so we'll be asking moving forward, what ideas you have, what thoughts you have, how can you better align what you know about your constituents and work with our educators to make sure that we're meeting their needs. And so you're our eyes and ears, and so we are looking to you to help us to understand the community as well. So, all right. So the monthly reports, as I mentioned, so what we like to do is we like for you to know what our educators are doing throughout the month in the, well, actually it's attached to your agenda, and this is how it'll be monthly moving forward. We have a report that with each of the program areas that you will, and you probably have looked through this one already. So this is the April report. It'll always be a month behind just because of the way our reporting goes, and we're still in the middle of May here. And so this will give you a good idea of what our educators have been up to and some of the things they might be planning. This is a good opportunity too to ask questions. So when you read through these reports, we'll usually have, and this is something that we can revisit as we move forward on how you'd like to have educators report. In the past, we've had one educator that might go a little bit more in depth, so like a 10-minute presentation each month, and then an opportunity for committee members to respond to the written report. So our educators will usually be here within, for the first part of the meeting to respond to any questions that you might have. And so it's a good opportunity for you to engage with our educators throughout the year at these monthly committee meetings. But we also encourage you to reach out to them, attend their programs if you really want to understand their work and the impact that they're making. They will, in these reports, we're going to be putting in, or we do put in upcoming programs so that you have the opportunity to maybe attend one of those or just know what's coming up for programming. We also put together an annual report as per the county, and I did include, or Melissa included, the 2023 annual report in your packet as well. So some reading for you there as well. And as I mentioned, we absolutely encourage you to reach out and meet with us throughout the year, especially if there's issues that you want to bring up, if there's ideas that you have and you want to bring forward. We love to have those conversations. So finally, our commitment, of course, our communities grow and change, and we remain committed to making sure that we provide educational access to all Wisconsinites and all Dunn County residents, no matter their gender affiliation, their race, their ethnicity. We provide access and we remove barriers for our constituents as best we can. So with that, are there any questions?
Thank you, Kristen. That was
Yes.
very university extension brought to Dunn County presentation. Did a good job. Well, when you started out, you talked about confusion on who extension is. And this is the first committee that I served on in Dunn County, first meeting. Been over 6 years. And Jim Anderson was chair, and then Zons, and now Supervisor Bauer. I grew up in Dunn County, and I was working the farm this afternoon before I came here. And I think of my grandfather and father and how they dealt with extension. And they were a real resource for our family for 50 years. And they knew who the Ag Committee chair was, and they knew who the extension agents were, of course. But if they had issues, as you talked about, they brought it to the chair. I was disappointed that I was not promoted as chair. I thought I had served enough time that my opinion would have been worthy at the executive committee, but that's not the case. Here's some of the people I've worked with in extension. Keith Summerfield, Tom Larson. I became an extension agent in Taylor County because Tom Larson was that much of a influence on me. I should have gone into ag ed, but I didn't. Jim Faust, many years in Dunn County. To my back, Cal, Randy, and Don. When I had legal problems with the farm in the 80s, Randy Knapp was a guy that came to the judge and says, here's a plan and it will work. Don Dukeshine, Irv Holzine, Jim Jordan, Carl Dooley, extension agent Nancy, home economist, and of course Katie Forsythe, and that's just a few that I knew. So now the bad news. I think Dunn County is approaching a time when budgets are going to be tighter than they have been in the past. And people use the term a strong ag committee in defending university extension and their work. I hope this committee has the gumption to push back when the county board says, we need you guys to trim that extension budget. You can't be wavy about it. You got to say, this is important. This is important to our people, not just farmers. It's not going to be easy. because they're gonna want you to cave. I would not cave. I mean, they dragged me out screaming. And maybe that's why I never got in the door. So, I just really appreciate Extension. And, Kristen didn't tell you, I mean, she started out as an agent in Dunn County.
Mhm.
The fellow, that's now the Northern Director, 4-H, was an 4-H extension in Dunn County. There's another one back there. It's 4-H extension in Dunn County. And it's been one program laid down after another that's made it what it is. And, okay, I've said enough, but I have no confusion about extension at all. And God, I've known some good people. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Zarka. I'd just like to respond and I do hope, and please share with us how we can, if we're not able to share our value, how we can do it better. The programming that's happening currently with our educators, it's a relatively newer staff, as you saw, but they have hit the ground running and doing some fantastic work. So we try our best to be able to share that with you all and the importance of, but please, that's what we need from you, is to make sure to make sure that we're communicating to you what that value is so that you can talk to the county board if necessary as we go through budget time. Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. That was quite a little speech there. It was actually good. Any other questions?
I don't hear that all.
I have an easy question.
Yeah, go ahead. Supervisor Monica.
Um, uh, Thanks, Larry, for your story. It helps to know that this is a tradition 50 years in the making and that it matters what we're doing and what Extension is doing. Yeah. An easy question. So you have an office here in Dunn County. Do you have an office in all of your counties, or how does that
I
work?
do. Well, sort of. Dunn County is my home office. I only live about 12 miles away. So, my home office is here. And, but I do have space. We have hoteling space is what we call it, because we have a number of us that serve all three counties.
Mhm.
And so we have space in all three counties for us to land when we're in those counties, and the needs of technology and different things. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So is it like a shared space that you all kind of make use of?
In the hoteling spaces,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here I do have a dedicated office. The other two counties I don't. One of them I'm actually in a cubicle, so we're kind of working on a building plan with Eau Claire
Okay.
County. And then Chippewa County is a hoteling space as well. So, yeah, we get pretty close and pretty tight when we're all together, but we're good. What's really nice is in Area 6, we're really working on our culture and having to make sure that all of our educators are working together, that they understand each other, they know each other, their camaraderie. We try to get people together often because that's what builds the synergy, that's what builds the ideas, that's what brings those programs in. You'll see a lot on here where Gene Walsh's work in Chippewa County and financials is actually coming to Dunn County in a number of different ways because of that partnership and that camaraderie that we have across the three counties. So we're working on it. We got a relatively young staff, and then we've got some very seasoned staff that help bring us all along. And so we're really rotating a lot through these three counties.
Sounds like a pretty lean operation with sharing of space. I'm curious. So I remember Jason Hausler. He
Mhm.
served in your position as interim for a little while. Where's his office? Is it here or?
Yeah. He has a
Yeah.
dedicated office
Okay.
here as well. Yeah, so he's located upstairs. We also have Michelle Bachand, who's actually now a supervisor, but she is she's a state specialist. She just received a new position, so I'm not going to be able to say what that is. Agribility and Tractor Safety Program Coordinator. So, and I can share the history a little bit with you because I was here. So as Larry mentioned, I was a family living educator was my role back in the day, kind of similar to what Louisa is doing now. And Jason Hausler was the 4-H educator. I actually hired him, and then now he's supervising me. So it's kind of interesting, but anyway, we were in the office, and when our system changed after, I think it was in 2017, Larry, you probably remember this, when the governor at the time cut all of the university budgets, we had to get lean, and that's when our whole structure changed. Not what we do, but how we operate. We had to become a little bit leaner. And that was a time when the extension directors, and both Jason and I applied for those, and we did receive those positions. And then he has moved up to the assistant dean position. However, during that time, there was a resolution that was passed by the county board in Dunn County that said, we want to be the hub for any state specialists, any other positions within extension. We want to be the hub. We want them here. And it was a smart move because when you have the assistant dean working right out of the office right here in Dunn County, you get his service much more than other counties in the state. Same with my position. I'm in this building. I know people. I know people just because I've also worked here for, I think it was like 9 years prior to becoming this position, but I'm much more visible. Same with Michelle and her role. So that is something that the committee did, and I think it was in about 2018. And so that's the history of why we have the offices here. The county board was very open to making sure that extension stayed present in this area, in this county, and we have. So it's a great opportunity. Yeah, well, thank you. We're pretty lucky. We feel pretty lucky too. So absolutely, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you. Very good. Yeah. We'll move on to economic development.
All right. I can give you a little bit of an update on economic development. The update is there isn't many updates. If you're, I guess we have new people. So there's currently about a year ago there was a summit put together between the UW Stout, the Greater Menominee Economic Development Economic Development Committee, and the Dunn County Economic Development. Those three organizations went together to try and figure out, I think all of them were somewhat struggling in some way, and also including our West Central Wisconsin Regional Economic Development Organization. All of those organizations got together to look at were they being efficient in doing economic development for this area? All of them kind of overlapping in some way, shape, or form. Could they look at utilizing some of the expertise in the different areas and sharing those resources in order to meet the greater good? That summit came away with multiple work groups working on different things. The individual economic development organizations are still intact and are still intended to be intact, but they decided to have a single director of, I don't know the exact title, but economic development director. That position will be an employee of UW Stout, and they will be overseen by a committee made up of members of the multiple economic development organizations and the county manager and the city administrator for the city of Menominee. So we are currently in the process of hiring that person. So when I say there isn't a lot of updates, that's because there isn't a person in charge to do the work. That being said, so that recruitment is out and in progress right now. We'll see when that happens. In addition, some of the work groups are putting together a plan for onboarding once the new person comes in so that they're not bombarded with the many priorities that the summit had come up with. Independent of that, though, the chair of the Greater Menominee Economic Development Organization and Chris Corpola, acting on behalf of Dunn County Economic Development, are putting together a draft fundraising plan for the organizations. So this position and this setup is unique to our knowledge. It doesn't exist anywhere else. But the intent around having this employee be an employee of UW Stout, that would be a salaried, benefited position that is funded by Stout, Dunn County, and the city of Menominee. So that person that is going to be in charge of economic development does not have to spend the majority of their time trying to fundraise to pay their salary, which has been kind of the struggle in getting things done in the past with economic development. So we feel like having this person available to spend 100% of their time on economic development and quite frankly, in the economic development world, having a benefited position is somewhat unheard of as well. So there's some additional benefits that come with that. So that's kind of the current state of economic development in the area here. Lots of people working on that, but everybody kind of waiting for this hire to happen. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Yeah. For as long as I can remember, and it's been a long time that we've talked about economic development. And the big issue comes up that, well, we don't have housing to attract people to come work here and then live here. Well, just by chance, and showing my grandson where my wife grew up on the hospital hill there, if I don't know a better name for it, but she lived in the neighborhood with Bob Swanson and half a dozen other university professors, and there was a field just east of their building would be parallel to J coming into town by Lammers. That was called Butterfly Field. So she used to ride her horse there. They used to pasture, and so here on this last week, when we go visit where Grandma grew up, there's a housing development. And it isn't just the housing development that's happening across from the elementary, the middle school. It's the next road down, goes up over the hill and down. So I want to know how many housing places, you could do that, find out. How many people are we providing housing for? And what's the projection? And when's it going to be done? And they were pouring curb and gutter across from the middle school on Monday, and today they were blacktopping. But that isn't the road that goes up over the hill. So I like to hand out jobs. I'm giving you a job. I wish you'd report back to how much housing development as far as units available for people are going to be available when that's done. And if you find out you don't know, just say you don't know.
Yep, I have it in my email somewhere. There's 2 plats there. Now it's hard to know how many people. We know how many units, but yes, but that would become.
There's a lot of families now where the husband and wife both work and they have a hard time paying the rent.
Yep.
I hear that's quite common.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, those were, I believe, 2 separate plats. So those are 2 different developments that are happening there, and I've seen the plans for them, so I can share that information with you.
Would that also go with that development over in Elk Mountain? On H, that one's starting to fill up a little bit.
So you're challenging me. I drive by Larry every morning dropping a child off at the middle school, so I know where that one is, but I can look into what's happening over in Colfax as well. Yeah.
Grandson made it to 5 days in a row, which doesn't happen very often in elementary school. So he got a ride with Grandpa in the 91 Pontiac GTA Firebird. I says, you hit 5 days, I'll give you another ride in the Pontiac. That's about all I can do to push.
Any other questions? We'll move on to Dunn County Communications.
All right, Dunn County Communications. For those new, Dunn County has a contract with Doug Mell Communications to work with us on getting out news releases and sharing the good things that the county is up to. We've found, and I know there's lots of people working on communicating and kind of taking over the role of the media that has somewhat disappeared. But as the county, we try to, as things are coming up and as things happen, to get news releases out and hope they get picked up by the media to, again, share the good things that are happening, but also just inform people of other activities that are happening throughout the county. So as you see those things happening, that's kind of where those are coming from. We always welcome ideas. There's countless things happening throughout the county, and we're not always aware of some of the little things that are happening that different departments do or that you see. So feel free to share them if they ever come up. In the last, since we met here last, we had a news release for broadband grants that were awarded in the county, which was picked up by the Leader Telegram, and then the WEAU decided that I needed to be on TV, called me. They work really fast if you ever have that. Like, called me up and he's ready to record in about 5 minutes. Yeah. So that one was picked up, and then most recently a news release announcing the appointment of the new treasurer for the county that just went out, I think just yesterday, maybe the day before. Oh, no, it wouldn't have been the day before, that was Sunday. So let's go with yesterday. So that's what's been going out. Don't have anything necessarily in the works for the next month. We're waiting on ideas. But that's pretty much the updates from communications.
Any questions from the floor?
With I guess trying to get that outreach through communications and stuff, do we have anybody or any plans to hire somebody whose job would be dedicated towards any sort of like public relations, communications, basically marketing Dunn County for what it is and what it can offer?
So we have a position that does a lot of the content creation. So a lot of any of the videos that we have created, the graphics, running the social media for all of the departments. This is your first meeting, right, Bob? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you watch the video, she gave an update last time on our social media presence and kind of growing that. Not formally trained in that public relations type world. That's where we contract with Doug Mell Enterprises, whatever his company's name is, to kind of help guide us down those paths when that is necessary. So other than that, yeah, just kind of coming up with some of those and building the content that we do have staff that are doing that work. So.
Any further questions? Oh, moving on then, we'll go to, where we at? Broadband.
Broadband.
Yep.
I'm up again. So, once again, I guess for those new to the committee, the Community Resources and Tourism Committee was identified as the Broadband Committee a few years ago. And so a lot of the broadband initiatives that had happened have come out of this committee. Since then, we've created a task force, which is another committee of the board that kind of does that day-to-day work around broadband, and there's a lot going on as it relates to broadband right now. So there is that other committee as part of the ordinance. I'm required to come to this meeting to give you an update about what the broadband committee is up to. So that's why you'll see this as a reoccurring part of that agenda. So the broadband committee hasn't met since the last CRNT meeting. The changes just with the timing of the election and all of that, we had to delay that meeting. It's happening next Thursday. Is going to be kind of the reboot of that committee. What's been happening since then is a lot. The federal government, as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, had a funding program that is called BEAD, stands for Broadband Equity and Deployment. It's not equity and deployment. Access and deployment. Yeah, it's an acronym. BEAD. Anyway, that program is going to bring $1.1 billion of federal funds to putting broadband into the state of Wisconsin. That they've been working on this for a little while. The state of Wisconsin had submitted their plan for how they were going to identify the locations that would be eligible for this funding. And as soon as they were going to approve that plan, then the state was going to have a 30-day challenge cycle where we could challenge whether a certain entity was, or a certain location was eligible or not. I believe the day after the election, that was approved, and the challenge process started. So our clock started at 30 days to go. Might have been a week later that the 30 days started. So we are in the middle of that challenge process right now, and I, with Kristen as well, we're just at a broadband workshop put on by UW Extension and the Public Service Commission to go over what that process looks like, and then the next step, which will be looking at the different broadband projects within the county that will receive that grant funding, and what the role of the county is going to be in doing that. And I think one of the good things is that next phase, so the challenge has been accepted by the state. The way the state is going to roll out the challenge process has been approved by the federal government. How they are going to award the projects is still pending federal approval. But the process that they have put in place has put a lot of responsibility, or a lot of power, with the county government, that projects, there's a scoring system for whether a project is awarded, or or who wins a certain project, and 12 of the points are essentially related to county endorsement. And that would be a resolution by the county board that says, we like this provider doing this project, and we don't like that one. So we have a lot of power in kind of awarding points to the providers that we want, or to the projects that we want doing that. So that hasn't been approved yet, but that's kind of the plan that they have going forward. And so we have to kind of figure out how that whole thing works. And that's where that broadband task force will be looking at those projects and kind of making those determinations. And we'll have to figure out the formalities of what endorsement is and where that lives. That's for legal minds to figure out, and talking with the Public Service Commission to find out what it is that they would really want in order to do that. So it isn't clear exactly what they need, and our ordinance does say that the broadband task force has the ability to choose projects and sign letters of support on behalf of Dunn County. But if that's not going to be good enough for the PSC, we'll run it through the full board. The point of that particular piece in the ordinance was, in a lot of these cases, timing becomes so important. The provider comes over and says, hey, I want to submit a bid for this location and I'm all ready to go. I need to submit it on Friday. Well, we can't have a board meeting. Well, we can't have a committee meeting and an executive meeting and a county board meeting that fast. So we were hoping to right away to be able to make that a little bit faster. But we're also going to be looking at building up those communications with our providers so that they don't put us in that situation or put themselves in that situation. So, but that being said, it's important that we do get broadband out to the residents of Dunn County. And I was just talking with Kristen, we have received more state and federal, state grant awards through the Public Service Commission, whether that be state funding or federal funding, than any other county in the state of Wisconsin, and it's not close. And we have just a couple of pockets within the county that have not already received a grant to cover that full area. So we're very lucky in that regard, and in a great position to advertise Dunn County as being fully covered, which would be huge. That's what I got.
Any questions? It's like we're done. So, moving on to the Dunn County Tourism. Since we really haven't had a lot going on with that, the only thing that this committee could look at for our next meeting, or maybe discuss this meeting if you want, because it is kind of on the agenda, whether you want to maintain the website or not. Jim Zahns took care of it. I think he's the owner of it too, maybe, or is that, how's that work?
There's a company called Your Web Choice, I believe, is the name of the company that that was contracted with to build that site. This started like 2021, I think. We gave them the initial funds to build the site, and part of building the site is getting all of the contact information for all of the businesses and attractions and everything that exists in Dunn County, and to start building an inventory of events and other items that are happening, getting all of the pictures and other information out there. I want to say it took like a year and a half or so to get that together. Somewhere around the end of 22, I believe, that it was even later than that the website was finally complete. And so since then, we have been paying maintenance to essentially keep the website running. But the content has been, it's sourced from the public. People can submit their events, they can submit their businesses. There's an approval process that is done by the company who's been happy to do that. I perceive that Jim had a hand in making some of those determinations. I don't know how much work is done on evaluating the listing of all of those. So just as much as businesses start and they ask to be added to that list, when they closed, they typically don't ask to be removed. So somebody has to be able to monitor that and keep that content up to date. My understanding is Jim was doing that work. So, so I think that that's something that the committee needs to think about how that's going to be done. I don't know that we necessarily have the capacity, well, within county staff to do that work, nor the connections, right? You have to know all of these business owners. You have to kind of get.
And I
out
don't
there.
believe we have the rights to actually do anything with it either. I mean, he owns the rights to this. Is
No,
that
no,
right?
no. We own it.
We own the
it.
rights?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So something to think about for our next meeting, maybe think about it, but take a look at the site, see what you think. I'm sure we've all been on it. I mean, I've been on it a few times and
Visit DunnCounty.com, I think. Maybe an org, maybe a net, not sure.
yeah,
Visit Dunn County.
yeah, I think it is. Visit Dunn County. So take a look at it and then we'll discuss it a little bit more next meeting, next committee meeting. Or if somebody has any,
Is there
comments?
any connection or collaboration that we have with the Dunn County Chamber of Commerce at all? As far as a resource for being able to help list and promote businesses and stuff, they would probably be the ones who would have all of that information readily available that we could utilize.
It's a wonderful idea. Yes. Yeah, that would be another way of going about that is to, yeah, how do we look at it at another entity being able to maintain that list for us because they're doing it just the same.
Or maybe, I guess, even possibly merging those sort of resources. I know, I guess a little bit background, I grew up born and raised in Door County, up in Fish Creek. And so Door County being what it is very, one of the most tourist areas in Wisconsin. I have a lot of connection with a lot of that, as well as my father's a member, or was, his title changed, but membership director of the Door County Visitor Bureau. So I know kind of ideas of what they sort of do, and I think being able to merge those resources, I think would be a really great way to make things easier, but also kind of isolate and encapsulate all that information in one place.
Yep. No, I agree. It was a proposal at the time that the website had been put together that was not, we didn't go down that path. So, but yep.
It's been talked about for years. And one of the things is that the chamber group seems to change their people quite regularly. And I think kind of lost continuity from one person to the next.
So yeah, and I guess to be clear, there is the chamber and there is Explore Menominee, which is I don't know exactly how it's all functions together, but Explore Menominee is a separate some sort of a separate group within the chamber that is funded by the hotel fee. So it's essentially all of the hotels in Menominee get funding for, well, people staying in their hotels. And that money is then utilized to create the Explore Menominee website. Oh, there we go. Yes, somebody can talk. I'm making stuff up.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
So my name is Tammy Simon. I am the Director of Tourism for Explore Menominee here in Menominee. What happens is we collect, the city collects room taxes, and that is at 7% for the city of Menominee. And then those room taxes are collected by state statute. They're required to pay back 70% of that to remarket the city to bring more people in. So the chamber holds that contract with the city as the destination marketing organization. So my budget is solely from hotel room tax. So when I get people to come in and stay, my occupancy percentage goes up, our budget gets bigger, we get to advertise a little bit more and market a little bit more. I came on, I'm almost on 3 years. It's getting 3 years here. So, but the thing is,
Than those other guys.
yeah, must have been. No, I appreciate your comment and I don't deny that one bit. There had been a lot of turnover, but for the past 3 years, we've got a new CEO there. Actually, Ashley's been there for 4 years, I think, but our staff has been consistent for 4 years and we're kind of getting into a groove now where we have that trust back and can actually work with the community. So the challenge with the Dunn County website, and I think the reason they didn't go with it then is because we don't collect tax dollars for Dunn County. So there wouldn't be a ton of tax dollars collected, but if we were to collect tax dollars from municipalities outside of Menominee, we could expand that website really easily and make it into a Dunn County City of Menominee website. So I know that this did come up before, and I know that discussion was done prior to me taking this position. And so if there's any conversation that you want to have regarding merging them or leading in a different direction or whatever, I'd be glad to participate in those, because we do all of the things kind of that a tourism website needs to do. And we could really, if you wanted to keep the Visit Dunn County page, we could make that as part of our page and just fold it into our website. I mean, there's a lot of options.
Yeah. The discussion at the time was 2 websites with a
Mhm.
shared database.
Right.
Because if somebody is coming to Dunn County to go visit Hoffman Hills,
Mhm.
they're staying overnight in Menominee.
They are. Yes.
So,
Yes, so we're very much open to discussing that and making whatever changes we deem necessary. What I would, we know that if somebody is coming to Hoffman Hills, the only hotel there are that are close are here in Menominee, and we get those hotel room tax dollars. You'll see on our Explore Menominee website that we market all destinations in Dunn County. It's with the city lines and the county lines and the budget coming from city. We just have to figure out what that looks like. And we are more than open to discussing that and even forging a new path or keeping the path we're on, whatever makes more sense for Dunn County tourism as well as us, because we benefit from Dunn County tourism no matter what. So
I guess kind of another thing, it does seem that there's a lot of similarity between all 3 of those websites, which to me, being a very logical person, seems like a lot of redundant resources. And we could even, with my knowledge of web development, I know we could probably still own those domains, but have them all redirect to whichever one we choose as like the master, and then have that be to that page on that website. I think could be a really great sort of encapsulation of it all, because I mean, it's all saying the same things, just in
Right.
different colors.
right.
So, and I think we can make it a lot more continuous and easy for people who are considering coming to visit Dunn County and Menominee or
Mhm.
wherever. Make it a little bit easier for them to really know where the information they're getting is good and reliable, and have it all be the same. Please come to and give us money.
Right. And I know when we were discussing it in the past, when they were just starting on it, I think the Explore Menominee website was much more about tourism, and the Visit Dunn County website, they said, was going to be much more about economic development. And with the changes in the economic development environment here, so there's a lot of changes that have come down even in the last year. So if there's a way we can work together to have our websites the same, or whatever we decide to do, I would be 100% for that, and trying to make it more concise and in one spot for people to look. I know with the city, they just hired a communications person with the city, and same there. I'm working with her on their website to make sure that we're not overlapping. They have their website has a purpose, ours has a purpose, and I think it's important that we do kind of combine all those resources that make sense when it's tourism related, combining resources, but.
I have to agree. I think they are overlapping. They almost look identical to me and the same. I mean, so we're actually, I don't know, do we have to have it? That's something we need to decide, I guess.
And we're spending all that money, or whoever's spending all that money to maintain 3 sources of all the same information. So I think consolidating it would even,
We're about $4,000 a year for just for it to never change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
So I will, I guess, with this discussion, Larry, you can tell me you got some more work for me.
Let's put it this way. I think your TV days are just starting. I mean,
So.
you used to be a little more reserved than you're getting better.
So I'll kind of take this discussion as I'll meet up with Tammy and we'll kind of come up
Okay.
with something
Okay.
to bring back.
I'd be also happy to involve myself in that as well and sort of bring my experience from where I grew up and have very intimate knowledge of and
Yep.
help.
Great.
Thank you for letting me crash your meeting.
Right.
Sorry.
No,
Oh, thank you for being here.
any further discussion? We'll wait till decide on next meeting. Okay, that brings up the question of meetings. You want to keep the same date and times? You want to move? Or what works better for you guys? Is this,
You know, this meeting overlaps with my I work at the Mabel Painter and our facilities meeting is right now. I think it's 5 to 7. And this one's 4:30 to 6:30. I think it is, right?
it's 4:30 till
Or
whenever
whatever.
you're done, yeah.
Um,
How
So-
about staff? I mean, is it staff? Uh,
Have to look at that county calendar with all the meetings.
I have it.
Spencer, is your meeting at the Maple, is that monthly or weekly? or-
also it's the third Tuesday, whatever. Tuesday,
So maybe if we just do a different
hold on.
Tuesday?
second Tuesday.
Yeah, it looks like there's nothing on the second Tuesdays. Well, that's the first Tuesday, never mind. Second Tuesdays. This would be the second Tuesday, right? Yeah. Third Tuesday?
Third Tuesday doesn't have anything.
No.
Then we're all raring to go for county board the following. Oh,
Yeah,
But county board's tomorrow.
yeah, I know, but if we go to third, that would be more in line with county board also follow.
You'd get closer to exec, yeah.
which can help with that, the broadband stuff, as you mentioned before.
That would help.
Yes, we were talking about that today. Like if somebody wanted to have something done by the county board today, it can't happen until right now. If you needed it today, we actually couldn't do it until July.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, without special meetings.
Does that work same time of day? I'm just a
Yeah.
matter of moving the date.
That works.
Okay, want to put that on there instead of the 11th, it'll be, let's see, what is June? Third Tuesday. 18th.
As long as Zach isn't on the agenda.
That's what I mean, the staff has got to be, also be able to make it.
Third. We get to bump anything for.
So next meeting will be June 18th at 4:30. Can I make a motion to adjourn?
I got it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Telephone rang, so I It was a very important call. It was from our tractor driver that he wasn't gonna be able to make to the farm tonight to drive tractor because for the first time in 26 years, Eau Claire Memorial did not win the conference championship. Menominee did. So my tractor driver is an A1 tennis player. Did I say tennis? Yeah. So first time in 26 years. Memorial's sort of like just, you know how those dynasties go. And so he was pretty excited about that. Okay, that's the best news I've had for.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.